Happy Tough Talk Tuesday. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm excited to be here with y'all. I am going, you see me looking in both areas, in both directions. I am going live on, where we at? We are over here on Tickety Talk. And then we're live here on YouTube. Now, YouTube, I don't normally go live on YouTube, but Facebook acted so ugly last week. So we are going live on YouTube. And I just want to invite everybody in. I want to welcome you. If this is your first time joining us for a Tough Talk Tuesday, I'm excited to have you here with us. Now, y'all know y'all supposed to tell me about this lipstick on my teeth. Let me get that together. It's nice, and the lipstick is a part of the team. But today we are doing some serious conversation, and I'm excited about it. So today is Tuesday. Typically, we have what we call Tough Talk Tuesday, and on our Tough Talk Tuesday, this is the day that we celebrate our men. This is the day that we encourage them, we support them. And it is also June, which is Mental Health Month for men. And so I'm excited today to be talking to our men. Now, ladies, if y'all are in here, hey, Dollhouse, as y'all come in, let me know where you are tuning in from. But for the ladies, don't you go nowhere, because tonight we're talking to the men about their mental health, their wellness. And it is so key for us as women to understand what our men go through so that we can be a support system for them. And I think sometimes men, as y'all know, society be acting real ugly because it lies to our men and it tells them that they have to be perfect, they have to hold it all in. And I want to challenge and push against that. So tonight we're going to talk about that. And for those of y'all who have joined me before, I am Rachel. I'm the owner of RDH Counseling and Consulting, and we love supporting our men. And so this is Men's Mental Health Month. And so today we are digging in. We are talking about a really important conversation, and we're talking about men's mental health. And so as you come in, I'm excited. I want to shout a few people out. I see Child of God has joined. I see Floria is here. I see Brio is here. And so thank y'all for joining and taking part in this conversation, because y'all have brothers, you have your boo janks, you have nephews. These are men, and they deserve this conversation. So I'm going to jump right into it. I have a couple of questions and just comments that we're going to talk about specifically when it comes to men and their mental health. And the reason this is so important, because in real life, when I do therapy and when I have the privilege of working with my men, a lot of times the men are going through life, they're dealing with things, but they don't have a lot of safe spaces. And some of the men that I work with, that are going through what life throws at them, it's not always easy. And so it's really important for me that I am, number one, a safe space, that I hold space for the men, but also that I provide them with support. And so if you're here tonight, we are going to hop in. We're going to talk about men and men's mental health. But I want to hear from you, especially from the men, your thoughts, your feedback. Hey, Radio. Hey, Wayne. Hey, Karen. Thank y'all for joining. So tonight we're talking about men's mental health. I'm Rachel with RDH Counseling and Consulting, your licensed clinical social worker, and we are digging in today. So I want to give a shout out. Sunday was just Father's Day, so shout out to all of the fathers who are there. You're doing the stuff, and it is not always easy in your role as a father. And so I want to tip my hat to the fathers. I want to give you all the kudos that you deserve, because it's not always easy being a father. But tonight, we're talking about the mental and the emotional health piece of things. Many times I work with men and y'all are trying to do it all, right? Whether you're in a relationship, so now you're trying to be a partner or a husband, but then sometimes y'all are fathers. And so you're trying to be a father, you're trying to show up to work. And that's a lot to balance, especially if you have not, one, have safe spaces to decompress, to talk about the stress, right? And so the first thing that I want to kind of pull on it and us to kind of talk about is emotional expectations. Ah, that ugly E word, right? Because society lies. Society says that men don't have emotions or you shouldn't show certain emotions. And the only kind of emotion that's appropriate is anger. And we know that's not the case. We know that's not true. But when you think about emotions, what are some of the emotional expectations, fellas, that you all have experienced, right? Like even growing up, you think about falling and hurting yourself. Were you given space and permission to cry, or were you told to suck it up? Right. So, y'all put that in the chat. What were some of those emotional expectations that you, even as a child, but then also now, as an adult, as your big grown age, what are some emotional expectations you feel like you experience? What do you hear people say when it comes to your feelings, your emotions? When you try to share your emotions, when you try to share how you feel, do the people in your life encourage you to do that? Or are they um, telling you things like, suck it up, act like a man, be a man? Like, so let me hear from you. Like, even if not now, what was the emotional expectations that you experienced growing up? And y'all put that in the chat. I'm checking both spaces. So I'm on TikTok over here and I'm on YouTube over here. And so I'm looking in both of them. So for some of the emotional expectations, were you allowed to express yourself as a child? And for those whose fathers were in your life, what did you see role model, right? Because sometimes it's not always what people are saying verbally out of their mouth, but communication, 90% of communication is nonverbal. So as a man and as a boy, what was role model for you? What was communicated about emotional expectations? Did you see the men in your life cry or not? What did you experience? What emotional expectations? And I want to take it a little bit further because in November, we're having our Leading the Man in the Mirror leadership retreat in Massanutten, Virginia. And we're talking, one of the things we're going to be talking about is how men are showing up in relationships, whether dating relationships, whether in marriage. And some of the men struggle because they haven't seen it role model a healthy marriage. They haven't seen a man that was able to show up emotionally, to be there, to connect on an emotional level with his partner. And so, if you haven't seen a healthy marriage role modeled, that might be a challenge for how you show up. Now, this is interesting, right? Because oftentimes when men, especially as they're younger and they're dating, a lot of times they're taught how to be with women they're really not interested in, right? They're taught how to chase, they're taught how to, catch, but they're not taught how to be with a woman they're interested in, with a woman that they love. And so if you haven't seen that role modeled, then that might be an area of challenge. How do I connect? Right? How do I express my feelings? Right? How do I express my desires, my needs? Right? How do I express what my love language is if you haven't seen that role model? And it's challenging because if society on one hand is telling you that it is weak, right? To talk about love, to say, you have emotional needs. I want to spend time, or whatever it is that you want. If you're taught by society that it's weak to express that, well, honey, it's going to be really challenging to show up in a relationship for your wife the way she's going to need you to show up. So y'all put that in the comments. Hey, Tony, thank you for joining. So I am, just to reset, I am Rachel, your licensed clinical social worker, owner of RDH Counseling and Consulting, and it's Men's Mental Health Month. And so today we are talking about mental and emotional health. And I am streaming. I'm live over here on TikTok. Hey, TikTok. And TikTok is in the building. And then I'm also live on YouTube. And so we're talking about emotional expectations for men. Women, let me hear from y'all, right? Because when you think about your partner, and even if you are not currently married or are not currently in a relationship, ladies, what are you wanting from your man? Emotionally, what are you looking for? What are you wanting from your man on an emotional level, right? I get the financial part of things. And if you have a good man, you got a good husband, he's already financially providing, he's already making sure that the house is taken care of, right? And a lot of times that is what men are taught. That's how you show up. Hey, Anthony, thank you for joining. Men are taught to, the house stuff, right? You pay the bills, you make sure food is in the house. But what is the emotional side of things? And that isn't always taught. Thank you for the follow, Smooth. Hey, Smooth, good evening. Thank you for joining. So ladies, I want to hear from y'all. What are you looking for from your men emotionally? And then fellas, let me hear from you. What is it that you were taught when it comes to emotional expectations? And when I say taught, I'm not always just necessarily talking about what did, someone say to you, right? But what did you see? If you had a father in the home or a father figure, did you see him expressing himself? Did he hug your mother? Did he kiss your mom? Did he say, girl, I love you, right? Because if you haven't seen, did he date your mom, right? Did they continue to go on dates? This is what we're talking about when we are talking about emotional expectations, because a lot of times, fellas, ladies too, but fellas, y'all bring what you have seen in your family of origin, what you've seen done. A lot of times you're going to bring that with you, the good and the bad. So what were some of the emotional expectations? And were you given permission to express a full range of emotions? Or was it just, no, you can only be angry? Right? What was that? So let me see. And I'm pulling up over here on YouTube. And let me see. When y'all come in, let me know where you are joining in from. Right? So emotional expectations. And then the other thing I want us to kind of think about, talk about is how's that impacting you now, fellas? Whatever it was that you were taught. Thank y'all for the hearts. Thank y'all for the love. Y'all share this. When you come in, share it, especially for your fellas, but also ladies, y'all need to be in the room too, especially if you're wanting to get married, if you are in a relationship now and you find that, maybe you don't understand your partner, or maybe you want to look at getting better in the relationship. Hey, Bruce, this is an opportunity for you to hear the heart of the men that you're connected with. So how has whatever you were taught, how have you translated that over into your current relationship? The good, the bad, what is working well, right? Because that's something that's important. And the reason why I ask that is when I do my couples therapy, the biggest thing that I hear from the ladies, and I'll start there, the biggest thing that I hear from the ladies is that he doesn't understand me. He doesn't get me. He doesn't show me love the way I receive it. And so for the fellas, they like, look, girl, what you want, girl? I'm home every night. I go to work. I'm paying the bills. Like, what else do you want from me, sis? And she's like, when is the last time you told me I was gorgeous? When is the last time you popped me on my butt? All right. And so these are things that, especially as husbands, it is important for you to kind of gauge where you are emotionally, what you learned and didn't learn, and then start looking at how you can improve or enhance. Does that make sense how I'm saying it, y'all? Hey, Nick, thank you for joining. And so that's going to be really important. Now, the other part of these emotional expectations is that, ladies, when a man expresses himself to you, how are you reacting? How are you responding? And I cannot tell you enough of how sometimes, ladies, we have not been that safe space. We have not been a rib. We have not been a safe space. And so when our men are opening up to us about emotional things, we are shutting them down. We are not doing a good job. Now, that isn't everybody, right? But there are a lot of times that the clients that I've worked with, I hear it where the men are like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I am trying to open up. And when I do open up, I am met with rejection. Why act like a man? Why you crying and all of it, like very unhealthy, right? So it is just as important for a man to feel comfortable, confident, expressing his emotional needs as it is for his partner to be receptive. Okay, so that part is really important. And because when a man feels comfortable with his partner and confident that he can express his emotional needs, then he can lock in, right? It becomes a safe space for him and he can lock in with his partner. And honey, who gonna check y'all, right? Hey, Jasmine. So that part is really important. And for men, what would y'all say? I want y'all to put it in the chat, but what would you say is maybe one challenge that you have had, even if not right now, but in the past, one challenge that you've had with that emotional expression? Or what has been some of the emotional expectations that other people may have had for you that you like, I don't like that. I'm not down with that. Put that in the chat. And thank y'all for joining. For those of y'all who are just joining in, we are talking tonight about men's mental health and specifically the emotional health of our men. The reason this is so important is every 11 minutes, somebody is committing suicide. And a lot of those that are committing suicide are men of color. And so the mental and emotional health is listen, as a therapist, I don't play with that. And it is especially important for our men to know the truth, which is it is okay to talk about your mental health. It's okay not to be okay. You don't always have to be strong. But we have to make sure, and by we, I'm talking about not only myself in the mental health community, but also those family members and community that men have We need to be safe spaces. And so we need to, one, educate ourselves, right? But we also need to be really intentional about how we show up for our men. And so this is why I'm taking some time today on this Tough Talk Tuesday to talk about that. Silent struggles. Let's talk about that, right? Because a lot of the men that I'm working with, they're going through things, but life tells them, hey, deal with it. I heard one guy, and I'm gonna be real honest, y'all. This hurt my heart. This hurt me to my heart, because to hear one man say to another man, nobody cares about your feelings. Nobody cares about what you got going on. What are we even? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we teaching? Why are we saying that? And why are we really the bigger question is, why are we perpetuating that stupidity? Let's just start there, right? Yes, everybody in the world may not be concerned about what you have going on. Multiple things can be true at the same time. That is not the case that nobody cares about what you got going on. So that's not true. So I want to kind of just help us in our community to begin to challenge some of the languaging that is often perpetuated. Okay? Because that's the language that keeps men stuck in a box by themselves, battling stress, battling depression and depressive and suicidal thoughts. That's the type of unhealthy languaging that tells men that do it all on your own because nobody cares. So I just want to combine that up and cast that out. So men are oftentimes carrying a lot, especially our men of color. So they're already dealing with their personal battles, right? Whether 4 out of 5 people have experienced trauma of some sort. Trauma is a thing. Many people have experienced it. And so you're already coming with stuff, right? And then if that isn't dealt with, which for the most part, it is not dealt with, you then have that stress, you have that trauma, which impacts the way you see yourself. It impacts the way you see the world. And so you're going out here into this world. And if you are a man of color, oftentimes the world does not treat you very kindly. So you're already dealing with that. And then you go out in the world and you're like, listen, I just want to make a living. And you deal with microaggressions, you deal with the violence, you deal with all of what happens, right? On top of life, just lifing. Where do you go? Right? Like what are the silent battles that our men are carrying, that they're carrying but not having a space to lay it down? Not having a safe space to process it, to work through it. This is why y'all hear me talk about men and their mental health. Because if society is telling you to be strong, right? But you're carrying all of this, we see some of what happens. We see some of the violence. There have been a lot of just stuff happening out here. And so when you think about, and specifically fellas, I'm now going to talk to you. And even if you don't put this in the comment, I do want you to think personally, what are some of the silent battles or struggles that you're dealing with? Right? That you haven't said a word to anybody else. You're showing up, you're going to work, you have the face on, but you have not shared it with anyone else. And for a lot of the men that I work with, there's so many different silent battles that they're going through, whether it's identity issues. And when I say identity, If you have, so y'all have heard me talk about father wounds. If in the past you've experienced a father wound, and for those of you who don't know what that is, just think about any traumatic situation that has happened with your father. And maybe it was that your father wasn't present. He was an absentee father. Maybe he died. Maybe your mom was hating and didn't let him come and see you, whatever it is. Perhaps, he was absent, or perhaps he was present and was still absent, was not showing up for you as a father. That wound, meaning you were not fathered properly, it has an impact. It doesn't just because you say, I'm good, I'm over it, it doesn't disappear. Because when you've been fathered improperly or not fathered at all, there is an impact. Hey, Big Red, there's an impact. Some of the roles of a father include, hey, Renee, include providing that safety, sense of discipline, a sense of security, even identity, right? If you don't have a father, and if you have been fathered improperly in those areas, it's going to impact the way you see yourself. It's going to impact whether or not you believe you're capable, whether you believe you're confident and competent to do things. Not seeing a father, a healthy father, is going to impact how you father, right? So when you have father wounds and then you're pulled into the arena of fatherhood or pulled into the arena of the role of a husband or a partner, or even at work in a leadership role, what ends up happening is the areas of you that are traumatized tends to show up in times of stress. I want us to think about that, right? Because as a man, if you're dealing with father wounds and you struggle with the belief that you're not good enough, you don't know how to make sound decisions. And this is one of the ways that you'll know if you struggle with this father wound, or even with your identity, is you may find it very challenging to make decisions and then be confident in that decision. So you may go back and forth. You find that when it comes time to make decisions, you're double-minded, you go back and forth, you second guess yourself, you're in your head a lot. Did I do it right? What they gonna think? Am I gonna get it right? Is it messed up? I don't even know what I'm doing, right? All of those ways of thinking are connected to what we call harmful core beliefs. This is the belief system that you have developed as a result of not being fathered properly or experiencing some type of trauma. And so unless and until you heal, those belief systems are going to hit you every time it's time to start making decisions, every time you're feeling stressed. Now, I want you to think about this. This is why we talk about it. It's so important, because unless and until you heal and unlearn some of those, I call them lies, but unlearn some of those harmful core beliefs, that part of you is what's going to be showing up. So that little boy is who's showing up to make decisions. I think about that. 12-year-old you is showing up and making decisions about who your lifelong partner is, what job you're going to get, how you raise your children. You got a 12-year-old, 15-year-old making decisions. So this, fellas, is why it is incumbent upon you to take your mental and emotional health seriously. Because unless and until you do, little you is making choices and making decisions. I want you to think about that. Would you let a 12-year-old make a decision for you right now? And if the answer is no, which it should be, I want to encourage you to revisit some of what you have going on with a trained therapist. Now, y'all know there's a whole thing going on with Cheyenne Bryan, I want to say is her name. It's a lady. She ain't listen, get you a licensed professional to help you work through these things. So our men are carrying silent battles and struggles that they're not talking to people about, and it's impacting them. You're not able to show up the way really you like to. So the quality of your life is less than. And so, ladies, for those of us who are in lives of men, we need to be aware of this. You need to know that your partner is potentially carrying a load that he may or may not feel comfortable expressing to you. And so even if he doesn't express it, which of course we want him to express it and talk to you about it or somebody, but even if he does not, you need to be aware so that you can show up and try to be a support. Now he got to do his own work. Okay. So don't hear what I'm not saying, but you can also be a safe space. Okay. Hey, Jaquez. So we're talking to the fellas. Today is Tough Talk Tuesday. Tough Talk Tuesday is where RDH Counseling and Consulting, we support our men on Tuesdays. I mean, any other day too, right? But Tough Talk Tuesday, we go in and we encourage and we support and we love on our men because y'all deserve it. You don't oftentimes get the support. And so today, especially because it's June, which is Men's Mental Health Month, we're being really intentional. So I'm going live on these Tuesdays. Next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about men's mental health from the spiritual side of things. And so we'll have a pastor joining us. But men, I want you to be honest with you first about the battles, the struggles that you might be dealing with. And I want you to hear from me. It's okay not to be okay. Like you don't have to put the face on. You do not have to pretend that all is well when it's not. But don't keep going that way. Get the help. Get the help. And there are a lot of, I am what's called a licensed clinical social worker. And so when you're looking for someone to help you, hey, much love, get a licensed professional, a licensed LPC, a licensed professional counselor, psychologist, a licensed clinical social worker. Get a licensed individual to help you work through these things because you don't have to try to carry these challenges by yourself. When you're thinking about going to get that support, I want you to think about outside of the licensed people, who do you currently have as your support system? Right? So let's talk about that. Who do men have as their support system? Y'all put it in the comment. Who is one person that you're like, I can talk to them? Well, let me back up because I was going to put my definition of support, right? But let me hear from y'all. When you fellas, when y'all think about a support system, what does that look like? What does that mean? What is a support system for you? What kind of support do you need? What do you consider to be support? Hey, Savannah. Hey, Sean from VA. Thank y'all for joining. What does that look like? What is the support? Y'all put that in the chat. Hey, YouTube family, y'all put it in the chat if you don't mind. What does that look like for y'all, for the fellas? What is the support? What do you consider to be support, especially for your mental, your emotional health? Because for everybody, it's going to be different. Hey, Renee, for everybody, it's going to be different. So what does support look like for you? What do you need? Now, hey, Molly, let's talk about from the female's perspective, right? Ladies, how would you put a one if you consider yourself to be a support? Like you have a man in your life or men in your life, and you're like, yes, I know how to show up for him. I'm a support system. Y'all put a one because I just want I just want to see. So put a one if you ladies, if you consider yourself to be a support, put that in. I just want to see something. And fellas, what does that mean for you? Right? Because sometimes, and especially when I'm doing my couples counseling, the lady will say, the wife will say, hey, or the girlfriend will say, hey, I'm a support system for him. I'm a safe space. And I said, okay, well, tell me how you're supporting him. And then, I talk to the man. All right, what kind of support do you need? And it does not align. The type of support that the man needs is not the type of support that the woman has been giving. And so you find that things are out of alignment. And so whole time the lady feels like I'm doing, I go above and beyond. And he like, yeah, you're missing the mark. Right. And so that happens. And this is why communication is so important. Number one, it's important for the man to communicate what he needs. Right. For instance, fellas and ladies, I want y'all listening to this. When a man is getting off work and he's coming home, one way of supporting him is to let him have his space and time before we come and start talking your head off. Let him have some time to decompress. All right. So the type of support that we as women need is not going to be the same type of support that your husband, that your boo is going to need. And so recognizing that there are differences. Now, fellas, you have to be upfront and candid with your partner about what you need. Right? So I didn't want to hurt her feelings, or I didn't want to smoke. That's not going to cut it because you are limiting your partner's ability to give you what you need. Right? So the whole time she's like, yes, I'm doing it. And you like, I sure wish she would do it differently. But you don't afford your partner the opportunity to grow if you're not upfront about what you need. And listen, I get it. It can be challenging to do that because you don't want the smoke. Because the way God created women, our mouth, we just can slice it. and if we're not healthy, we can make atmosphere in the house terrible. And I said it just like that. Terrible, not terrible, terrible. So I get it. You don't want that smoke. But you have to. If you want a difference in your life and in your marriage, you have to get more comfortable and become more confident in your role as husband, as the man, and be able to express your needs. You deserve to have your needs met. I just need to normalize that because some of y'all have this whole, and some of the ladies are the ones continuing to perpetuate that happy, what do they say, y'all? Happy, what is it? Happy wife, happy life, or some dumb like that. It's happy wife and happy. Your life is happy if the wife is happy. And I'm saying dumb, but it's not a healthy mindset. Right? Because what it teaches is for the men to go along to get along. And that is not a healthy relationship. Relationships that are healthy should be mutually beneficial, right? And open and honest communication is when that is able to take place, where each partner is able to express their needs in a way that their partner can understand it. Thank y'all for the hearts, right? And so that is important. Let me hear from y'all in the comments. What has been the challenge maybe that you've experienced when it came to asking for the support that you've needed? Two, what kind of support? Men, what kind of support is important to you? Ladies, how do you think you have been doing when it comes to giving support to your partner? Y'all take a second and put that in there because I want to know before we go on to our next part of things. Y'all put that in there. How do you feel like you have been doing when it comes to supporting your partner? Right? How have you been showing up? And fellas, right? Because I got to hold you accountable too. How have you been doing with honesty and transparency? How have you been doing with that? Have you told your partner exactly what it is that you need? And if you haven't, why not? Is it because you don't want the smoke or is it something else? Hey, King Kong, what is it? And now, as a therapist, I give my people homework, right? So if you have not felt comfortable being upfront, being honest, what is it that you can do differently? Right? What you're gonna do differently? What might help you? What do you think might be helpful to help you be less afraid of the smoke or whatever it is that's happening? So that's something I want y'all to think about, right? What is it that you are going to do differently as it relates to expressing your needs? Because you have a right. You fix my forehead. But you have a right to express yourself, to ask for what it is that you need or what you want. Okay? So, what supports do you need? What would be helpful? And ladies, so that's for the men, and then for the ladies, what grade would you? Because you got to be brave, right? So, what grade would you honestly give yourself when it comes to being a support? And ladies, if you don't know the kind of support that your husband or your partner needs, that's your homework. Check in with them. How can I support you better? For some of y'all, that's going he's not gonna know how to act because he ain't never heard you ask him. Right? So surprise him. What kind of support do you need? What do you need from me? How can I be a better wife or a better girlfriend to you? I see the laughter in I'm on YouTube. Yeah. How can I be a better partner for you? I want y'all to do that honestly. And ladies, this is really important. Hey, Cynthia, this is really important for us ladies because we got to listen. We got to step our game up. Okay, okay. And we have a Love Like You've Never Been Hurt Before course that's going to be starting soon. And that's for the ladies who are like, listen, I need to learn how to get into my soft girl era. But you're wanting to learn how to be soft, right? Because especially if you have worked in corporate America, you work for the state, and or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have had, right, be on the go. You've been a single mother before. A lot of times you have learned to, and if you haven't learned how to turn it off, if you have not learned how to turn that off so that you can show up for your husband, your partner in a soft way, you're giving masculine energy. And apparently they don't like that. That's what I heard. So ladies, I want us to see how we can show up as a support. Ask your partner. And then fellas, don't lie to them, right? You will not get what you need if you don't communicate your needs. And so I want you, and for some of y'all, that is going to be the first time you've ever been asked that. And y'all put it in the chat. Fellas, have you ever been asked what kind of support you need? Hey, Antonio. Fellas, have you ever been asked that? What kind of support do you need? How can I support you? Right? And so you may not know because you may have been around or raised in environments where, listen, don't nobody care about your feel. That may have been what you were told or what you heard. And so you may not know what kind of support you need. And that's fair too. So start learning, thinking about, well, what kind of support might be helpful? Go to therapy. We can help you figure that part out. But yeah, so start thinking about that, right? As a part of that support, what would I need? Maybe it's just a safe space just to be able to say, this is how I feel today. Or maybe it's just a space that you need to where you can really be you. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to, try to floss. I can just come in here dirty. I can just come in here dirty. The support I need is you to just let me be. And don't say it in a mean way, y'all. But just, sis, ma'am, right now, the support I need that I would like, soften your voice. The support I would like is, hey, when I come home, can you give me about 30 minutes just to decompress before we start talking about stuff? I want to hear how your day has been. I do. Just, can you give me a few minutes? That's one way of support. That's one way. That's one type of support, maybe. Right? Or maybe y'all are saying to the lady, hey, you got that long list. I don't have the bandwidth for it. We can talk about one thing. I got one thing. Just don't come to me with this long list of stuff we need to talk about, right? So maybe that is a type of support that you might need. I'm just throwing it out there, but y'all know what you need. I am encouraging you for homework today to think about the kind of support, fellas, that y'all need and then ask for it. Okay? Work-life balance. Some of y'all said, well, what even is work-life balance? So let's talk. I want to do a little bit of a teaching, and then I want to hear from you how you think you're doing with your work-life balance. So when you think about work-life balance, hey, Cherokee, when you think about work-life balance, right, fellas, so think about your life. What are the different roles that you play? Y'all put that in the chat. What are some of the roles that you are currently playing? Thank you, Amanda, for liking. Y'all share this, like it. What are the roles, fellas, that y'all are currently playing? Are you a father, stepfather? Are you a brother? Are you a business owner? Are you a manager or supervisor? Are you a husband? Are you a boojank? Are you a pastor? What's your role? What are some of the roles that you're currently playing? Y'all put it in there. Put it in the chat. When, you're thinking about the work-life balance, what we're talking about is all of those roles that you play. How are you handling them? How are you juggling them? How are you managing them, right? And if you find, now this is what I am a therapist in real life. And what I often see with my men, the men folk, ladies too, Lord Jesus, ladies too, but we're talking to the men today. It's Tough Talk Tuesday, where we support and encourage our men folk. And it's June, Men's Mental Health. What I typically find is that when men start having multiple roles, right? They're a coach for their kids, soccer league, they are a husband, they are a father, they are, an employee or employer. That starts to be a whole lot because each of those roles requires your presence, it requires your energy, it requires your brain power, it requires your money. And if you haven't learned how to prioritize, and you haven't learned how to take the breaks you need, self care. If you haven't learned how to ask for the support you need, self maintenance. If you haven't learned to um, recognize, hey, I'm burnt out in this area, or I don't have any spoons for it, or I don't even know how to do this. If you have not been given the opportunity to express that, receive the support for it, you will oftentimes do what a lot of the men I work with do: try to do it all, try to juggle it all. Trying to juggle 16 million balls, afraid of dropping it because you're afraid that people will think you don't know what you're doing, you're not man enough, all of the stuff that goes with it. Some of that will be you beating your own self up. And so, this idea of learning how to have a work life balance is a really important part of tending to and caring for your mental and your emotional health. Now, let me tell you why this is important. Hey, Rayston, this is important because until you learn, this is why you healing your fragmented sense of identity. Because until you have healed that, there is going to always be a part of you trying to prove you're man enough, prove you're good enough, prove you are enough, prove you're valuable. And so that will be the hamster that drives you to burnout. And so this is why your healing, your wholeness, your sense of true identity is so important. Because a healthy, healed man knows my value doesn't come from, the car that I drive or looking as if I got it all together. Instead, he recognizes the truth already, which is I am enough. I'm made in God's image and in his likeness. Who gonna check me? Like I'm already enough. So I don't get my value or my identity from what I do, but from who I am. And so until you've learned that, you'll find yourself feeling like an imposter in every area of your life. So imagine that. You're married, but you feel like I'm an imposter. She gonna figure it out. She married the wrong person. I don't know what I'm doing. And so this is why healing, doing the work, and learning the truth about who God has already said you are, it allows you to move differently so that you can actually do that juggle that needs to happen. That work life balance can become more easier, more balanced, right? And there are going to be times and seasons where there are going to be some things that ain't a work life balance. It's like, yeah, this needs to take priority, right? And then everything else kind of gets in there where it gets in. But as you're doing that, you won't feel guilt and you won't feel less than because you had to shift something else. Because you'll already recognize me showing up as the star, coach on the team or frat brother. It doesn't impact me, as a person. You'll already know that. And so you won't try to burn yourself out to perform, because you already know the truth. Does that make sense how I'm saying it, y'all? So that work-life balance is really important, but it's hard to achieve it if you are still struggling in your identity or you're experiencing insecurities because you have father wounds or unhealed needs and wounds. That work-life balance, and it is okay to say, hey, I need some help learning how to balance this. More often women are more equipped, maybe because we're taught, and just even how our brain is wired. um, we can kind of look at boom, 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 this need to go here, okay, 16 things I need to get, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G done, all of those things. So it may be easier for women to juggle, balance, and kind of get things done. The other part of it too is we have emotional supports. So we can sit and talk to another female girl. Let me tell you these kids, I got to do this. This is up, right? And so after we finish, we've already rejuvenated ourselves because we talked about it. Whereas for sometimes society tells men, suck it all in and hold it in. And meanwhile, you're breaking down. It's important for you to learn how to move through, address and deal with your mental and emotional health, especially as you're trying to show up as the healthiest version of yourself. Because, right, when we talk about psychosomatic, that is your body's way of responding to your emotional state. Hey, Samuel. And so if you're constantly stressed out, fellas, because you don't have a safe space, you are trying to juggle a whole lot because you're afraid to let something go because of how someone may look at you or view you, your body is going to tell the tale. And especially for men of color, when you look at diseases and health conditions, high blood pressure, hypertension, cholesterol issues, heart issues, a lot of that has to do with your emotional state. Your nervous system is constantly triggered at such a high, you just, and so when your nervous system is dysregulated, when you are under a lot of stress, pressure, because society tells you don't show it, don't take care of it, then we have some of these things going on. And it becomes really hard to engage in the self-care that you need. Which is why we're really, listen, y'all hear me talk about self-care, that I'm the self-care queen. And especially for men, that self-maintenance is so key. Now, just put a plug in right here for our Leading the Man in the Mirror Leadership Development Retreat for our fellas, November 6th through the 9th at Massanutten. Come on out, get the relief you need. So just decompressing, a good way to meet other fellas and just the brotherhood, right? But also learning, getting some practical skills, starting to think strategically, thinking about where you want to be 5 years from now, understanding why you're showing up the way you are currently. What happened? How did we get here? And then, okay, if this is where I am now, where do I want to be and what do I need to do differently? Right? And so, men, you deserve that. Not only do you deserve it, you need it, because the households that you got to lead, you cannot lead it if you are not led well. Huh? I'm saying, listen, I'm preaching better than y'all saying amen. You cannot lead until you have been led well. And a part of that self leadership is what we're going to talk about. All right, self leadership, self discipline. That is important. And so you have to take this first step. Hey, Frankie, you have to take the first step. You have to acknowledge it is what it is. Yes, I'm burnt out. I feel burnt out. I feel I feel overworked and underappreciated. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Derek. Right? And so it's up to you to do what you need to do. Hey, Maya. So, fellas, when you think about self care, self maintenance, and trying to juggle, that balance between work, the role that you have to play at work, the role that you have to play in your family, um, the role that you have to play in society. And unfortunately, especially for men of color, there's a role you have to play. Like, I got to play a role. I got to put a mask on to go out here. And so that can be very draining. And then when you come home, if you don't have a supportive environment or a safe space, you need one. You need one. Okay. The last thing I want us to talk about before we end tonight's Tough Talk Tuesday live is permission to rest. That terrible R word. Eh, but give yourself permission to rest. And I want us to talk about that because do you? That's the question I'm gonna ask fellas, y'all to put in there. Y'all be honest. Do you give yourself permission to rest? Or are you like, what is rest? What even is rest? Do you give yourself permission to rest? Put one, if that is the case for you, and two, if you like, no, I need to do a better job. Do you give you permission to rest, fellas? All right. When you come home, do you give yourself permission to take a break, ask for the break that you need? Hey, babe, give me about 30 minutes. Let me decompress. Let me shower. Maybe it's just sitting in the car for just a minute. Maybe you're sitting in the garage. Let me just give me a second. Let me just, right? Do you give yourself permission to rest or do you go in and try to have your cape on? Now, cape is necessary, cape is important, but do you give yourself permission to rest so that you can show up the way your partner needs, right? Because there's a difference between showing up and being present and showing up and you just look, what you need, look, sit down, why y'all? There's a difference. And so if you're burned out, especially for those of you who are fathers, if you're burned out, hey, Pamela, if you are burned out, hey, B, you can't show up the way your children need you to show up. So Derek is saying, yes, he does take it good. You can't show up the way you need to if you're not giving yourself permission to rest. So I want to talk briefly about what are some reasons why men are not giving themselves permission to rest. Right? When you think about that, like if you're not a one, that means you're a two, which means that you are not giving yourself permission to rest. What are some of the reasons? Hey, Mr. Red, what are some reasons that y'all are not giving yourselves permission to rest? You definitely have to take it, Derek, and your presence is affected by your lack of permission to rest. Yep. What are some reasons, fellas, that y'all are not giving yourself permission to rest? And before I put it out there, what the fellas tell me, I want y'all to tell me what. And even for ladies, what are some reasons that you feel men are not giving themselves permission to rest? Y'all put it in the chat. Yep, unbalanced expectations. Definitely, definitely. And some of the expectations that, and so in the mental health world, we have what's called cognitive distortions, and that's just like maybe you've heard of the term stinking thinking, but cognitive distortions, one of them is shoulds, and shoulds are expectations. Some of them are these unwritten rules that we have for ourselves, we have for other people. And sometimes these expectations are unbalanced, they're unrealistic, right? And so we have to be really intentional about looking at, well, what is the expectation? And when you think about the expectations of each role, right? So depending on what you saw your dad do or not do, or depending on what you saw your mom do or not do, that plays a role in what you are expecting. If your dad was unhealthy, because it is unhealthy to try to go, go, go and never take a break, that's unhealthy. And that will kill you. You will die before it's time, before it's your time. And who is that helping? Nobody. So this whole thing about, and I've heard people say that. Now this is a little touched, but if you say it, no, I ain't judging. But I'll rest when I die. What are we? What are we? What are we? What how are we? What's going on, folks? Where are we getting this stuff from? Hey, JD's Creations. I'll rest when I die. What are we saying? You rest when you die, but what about the quality of life that you're living? So, giving yourself permission is so important. It's giving yourself permission to rest. Your body needs rest. Fellas, you cannot show up in your leadership at full capacity if you're not rested. Now, I'm not in the military, right? But I've heard of torture tactics. One of the torture tactics is to keep people up for long periods of time. Why? Why would that be something they think to do? Because anybody who is not rested cannot make sound decisions. Your nervous system is shot. Huh? But y'all fellas, now this isn't all the fellas, are saying I'm gonna rest when I die. I got this. I'm gonna grind. I got to. No, you listen. And you're in these leadership positions, in these leadership roles, and you are leading your family down a rabbit hole because you're not in your right mind because you haven't rested. A good leader recognizes the importance of rest. I'm not fussing or anything like that. I know my voice is sounding tight. I'm not fussing, but it is important. It is important your rest. So giving yourself permission to rest is not weak, it is actually strategic because it allows you to think clearly, which then allows you to be present with your family, with your children, on your job. And when you're able to be present, then you can be an effective leader. But you have to be present, you have to be rested. We make poor decisions when we are not in a good headspace. So giving yourself permission to rest in whatever way that looks like for you. Rest is strategy. Yes, Derek, rest is strategy. And so we have to kind of be intentional about recognizing the importance of rest. And rest is not always just physical rest. Like, yes, you certainly need your sleep, right? So I talk to my clients all the time about sleep hygiene. What time do you need to get into bed? Many of us cannot operate on 3 hours of sleep. I don't care what you taste. Right? So getting into bed, having a bedtime, figuring out when your bedtime needs to be, right? Because everybody doesn't need 8, 9 hours of sleep. Some people, there's a range. So you need to figure out what your optimal amount of sleep hours is. And then from there, what's your bedtime? An hour before bed. And this is what we call sleep hygiene. What I'm about to teach y'all now. It's not on the outline, but it's important. Sleep hygiene. What time is your bedtime? An hour before your bedtime, start letting you know that it's time to rest. So start turning lights down. Turn down the lights. Turn the lights down. Turn the TV off. Your devices that are keeping you awoke, turn them off. TV, the internet, cell phone, those tablets, things like that. An hour before bedtime, put that away. Start turning the lights down. Get your nice warm bath. Get you some warm. I don't suggest drinking because I need my sleep and I don't want to have to get up going to the restroom. But maybe something warm. But take a nice hot shower, right? If you have a lot going on in your mind, do a brain dump. Start just whatever's in your head, write it all out, and then get into the bed. But sleep is a part of rest, but it is not the only part of rest. When you're giving yourself permission to rest, we're also sometimes talking about identifying what do you need to put down. Ooh, what do you need to put down in this season? What is pulling on you that you need to put down? So for some of y'all, maybe there are habits that you need to take a rest from. Whatever the habit is. Maybe some of y'all are doing some good stuff, right? But it's pulling you out of the house, or it's overdrawing your emotional bank. It's one more thing you have to do. What do you need to put down? And be upfront with yourself about that. Even for some of y'all, because some of y'all, you don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. Some of the fellas, some of y'all are doing some people pleasing. That's my mama, she need me to, bruh, listen, your house needs you. I don't know who needs to hear that, but your house needs you. So for some of y'all, the rest that you need is putting down some of the responsibilities that you've picked up. Some of y'all are burning yourselves out. You have 6 jobs because you're trying to live above your means, or you have a partner that is just, and so y'all need to have a real open and transparent conversation. Sis, let's sit down and look at these bills. You are spending way too much. I am killing myself out here. And so for some of y'all, rest is letting go of things, putting things down, having the courageous conversations. And for some of y'all, giving yourself permission to rest up here. Just giving yourself the permission to rest up here. And for some of y'all, that is related to the thoughts. Some of y'all have been hearing negativity your whole life. And now whoever it was that was talking negative to you, they don't even have to say it because you're saying it to you. And so your thought life, taking a rest from that old record player that's telling you what you ain't fitting to do and how you're not good enough. Yeah, we're taking a rest from connecting with negativity. Hey, Ezekiel. That old way of thinking. I can't trust nobody. I got to do this all on my own. That old way of thinking. Some of y'all, the rest you need is to put that down. Scripture talks to us about not pouring new wine into old skins. Those old skins is what encapsulates the way you think. It's one of the perspectives of that. So for some of y'all, the rest you need, hey Ahmed, the rest you need is the rest from the old. For some of y'all, it's the old me, the old way of going about doing things. It's keeping you trapped in a cycle. Hey, M Web. So today, whatever that rest is that you need, fellas, on this Tough Talk Tuesday, where we encourage and we support our men, I want to encourage you to be courageous and bold enough to give you permission to rest. Nobody else can give it to you. You have to give you permission. And it starts with recognizing that one, you're in relationship with you. And as such, what kind of a friend are you being to you? How do you talk to you? Do you let yourself rest when you need it? Or are you telling yourself we're gonna rest when we die? And you like, I don't want to die. I want to rest. And you like, no, we got to go out here and hustle and grind because I ain't a man until like all this, toxic masculinity that you may have heard from other toxic, unhealthy people, or just, you know how it is. People just do what they know. But you get to break cycle today by deciding to take care of your mental and emotional health. Hey, God's favors. God favors me. Right? You get to decide today, fellas, that you're going to be intentional about taking care of you, whether that is getting the therapy. Now, y'all know I'm biased because I'm a therapist, right? So getting the therapy that you need, right? Which really isn't, for those who've never been to therapy before, it's not my role to tell you what to do, right? But as a therapist, my role is to come alongside you and support you on your journey, on this mental and emotional health journey. I'm a safe space. So as a therapist, my role is to hold space for you. What's in your heart? What's on your mind? What have you been carrying? And carrying by yourself, right? Or feeling as if you've had to carry it by yourself. And it's okay to cry. I don't know how many times I got to say that, fellas. It's okay to cry. One of the reasons why your body tries to cry is to get out. When you cry, toxins are released through your tears. So, for those of you who've heard that, men don't cry, boys don't cry. Well, honey, where do you think those toxins are going? Huh? they right in there. So yeah, we need to release. And so that's one of the things that in therapy, some of y'all just need to come and cry. and the way God has gifted me, that's that you gonna be fitting to get right. And it might catch you by surprise because you're like, wait a minute, this is session number 1. I didn't come here for this, and I wasn't it's okay. You needed it. And so this is June, this is halfway part of the year. For those men who are saying, listen, I need to get me right, I need to get myself together, let's go. Let's go. If you don't hear anybody else in your corner or in your ear telling you, come on, you can do this, today you're hearing Rachel tell you, come on, you can do this. Because your family needs you. Your church needs you. Your wife needs you. Your children need you. You need you. Okay. I want to invite you all to come back next Tuesday. We are talking about men's spiritual health. And so we're going to have a pastor joining us, and we're going to talk about that November 6th through the 9th. Fellas, leading the man in the mirror retreat. Let me see if I have that too. Nope, I don't. Men's leadership retreat in Massanutten, Virginia. It's only $600, 6th through the 9th. Meals, 2 meals per day provided. You just got to do your own dinner. If you've never been to the resort, it's fun. It's fun. You can go skiing, snowboarding. But that $600 covers your room and your board, the conference, the retreat itself, the training. And we're going to be talking about, I'm one of the presenters that are going to be teaching. I'll be doing from the mental health and wellness part, so you kind of understand why you're showing up the way you are, what are some of the trauma and things of that nature. But we're not just going to leave you there. Okay, you're here now, but now what, right? So we'll help you look at where you are and see where you're trying to go, and help teach you the skills necessary, get you to start thinking. Some of y'all have never been taught to think, especially if you were raised by a strong mother. Sometimes moms, we tell you what to do, but we don't teach you how to think. And so if you haven't been taught how to think, you just know how to do. When you get out here, you know, your wife is like, look, bruh, like, come on, I got to do everything. Well, that's because you weren't taught how to think. And so it is what it is. There's no judgment, but you don't have to stay there. You can learn the skills. And so we have some really amazing presenters that are going to take the time to teach you. Eddie White is one of them. He has a life alignment class. Listen, I took that class. Now it's for ladies and men, but I took it. And fellas, let me tell you, especially those that are already in leadership roles, or you're getting into you're considering getting married, you're trying to open a business, you need to take this, right? And so he's going to teach a small piece of that, but you can also sign up for his course. So come on out. I will put the leadership retreat information. It'll be in the comments or somewhere. I'll put it in the where you'll be able to find it. I want to thank y'all for joining me tonight for our part 2 of our Tough Talk Tuesdays discussion for our men, especially in June, since it's Men's Mental Health Month. Y'all come back next Tuesday at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I look forward to speaking with y'all. Y'all be blessed. Y'all have a wonderful night. Fellas, be intentional about you, about your mental and your emotional health. Ladies, be intentional about being a safe space, a support system. And if you don't know how your partner needs you to show up, ask them. Fellas, if you don't know how you need your partner to show up, think about it. Take some time to think about it, and then tell them what you need. We're not worrying about the smoke. They won't grow. Women cannot grow and develop into the partner that you need if you don't open your mouth. Okay. All right, I'm going to end in a prayer, and then next week I hope to see y'all. So, Father, I thank you for each and every person that joined us here tonight. I thank you for your sons, your kings, Father God, the priests that you have ordained and assigned to be the leads of their homes and in their lives. God, I pray that you cover them, that you keep them, you protect them, and you strengthen them as they are going through life. Lord knows life is life. And so, God, I pray that you cover them, that you keep them, you guide them and direct them, connect them with good people who are going to encourage them, that are going to support them. I pray for their families. God, give them wisdom as they're in their roles of husbands and fathers. God, cover them, keep them, protect them. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So y'all be blessed. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Thank y'all again for joining me. And again, I was on TikTok and YouTube. So thank y'all both for joining, and I will see you all next week. Y'all be blessed, and y'all take care.